There were times I was lost, dark had fear, couldn't see through the rain. In the end it was clear, hit the fan. I was more than one man who was there to lend a hand. Together we'd stand, always had my back, my guardian soldier. Team put together, united we conquer. Blessed is he who in the name of charity carry me when I'm weak, straight through the valley of darkness. Pitch blackness, the heartless, regardless, fear couldn't part us. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. Thick and thin, there by my side. At times we collide, but in the end we ride. We ride, ride. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong, united we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. Keep on holding strong, united we stand, divided we fall. Together we belong. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper. I am my brother's keeper.
Hey there, Moto fans. This is the Mental for Moto podcast. I'm your host, Pete Wolf. Big thanks to our amazing partners for this episode: Death Grip Products, Works Racing, Graphics by Aqua, Bolt Everywhere Premium Racewear, Iro, Five Gloves, Shred Bike Care, and Wolf Building Compliance. And finally, a massive shout out to Steve Powell of SPMX. He recently decided to close the doors at SPMX and he has accepted another role in the industry. So I'm going to try get him back onto the show soon to talk about everything that he's got going on and what he has planned for the future. Steve's been a supporter of Mental for Moto and myself personally from the very beginning of this journey, and for that I'll be eternally grateful. Now, let's get on to my guest for this podcast. In the Moto Asylum today, joining me all the way from sunny Queensland to compete at round one of the ProMX Championship, I have Cody O'Loan. How you going, Cody?
Good, thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure. It's great to have you in the studio. So how's your week been in the lead up to round one?
Yeah, it's been good. We had a bit of a chill week this week. We didn't want to do too much.
Yep, unlike your normal regime.
Yeah, it's been great. I got to fly down, didn't have to drive.
Yeah.
It actually felt weird, but yeah, no, it was good.
So how do you get your bike and everything else down here?
So friends of ours are helping me out this year, and they're going to take my bike to all the rounds, which I'm very, very grateful for. And then, yeah, I just get to fly to all the rounds, and it makes it so much easier for me. I get to get an extra day of work in or riding, and yeah, it's really good.
Or relaxing.
Yeah, or relaxing, yep.
Yeah, that's almost factory life, isn't it?
It is. It feels good.
Yeah, so coming into round one now, does it take a little bit of pressure off? Like, because normally you've got like a 20-hour plus drive to get down here.
Yeah, definitely. I felt less stressed this week because I just didn't have to worry about getting everything done by Wednesday and getting in the van Wednesday night and driving through the night till Friday pretty much.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was good. Just like taking my bike down to my friend's house Tuesday, and then I had the rest of the week really. So,
and
yeah.
I can imagine it's got to mess with your like sleeping patterns and even your food, like your dietary, having to drive like those big long trips.
Oh, it definitely does, because I'm pretty strict with what I eat and everything. So
yeah,
I'm very like trying to stay on top of it, but it's hard when there's like only servos and that type of stuff. But yeah. It just
you'd want to be avoiding like those servo sausage rolls or Macca's like a couple of days before the race.
Oh, definitely. I stay away from that big time. My mum actually got like U-Foods container things.
Yeah.
And we were just heating them up, so we had like something good to eat.
Yeah, so you got a microwave or something in the car?
Yeah, we got a microwave in the van. So
oh, that's pretty easy, mate. You're all set up.
Yeah.
So you said you're pretty strict on your diet. Do you find that like when you don't eat right, you notice it a lot?
Yeah, a little bit. I just don't feel as good. Like I just feel
day to day.
Yeah, I just get like it's hard to explain, but a bit tired and feel down when I don't eat good and clean, if that makes sense.
Oh, I can definitely relate. Like I've been trying to get rid of the dad bod for the last 4 weeks. So I'm eating clean, I'm exercising more regularly, and like I'm sleeping better. I've got more energy. I feel way better for it. So I can imagine like when you're trying to compete, all that sort of stuff would add up if you're not doing it, even half right. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I've always been like, just try to eat healthy. And even when we're not racing, I just like to eat healthy because I just don't like to eat that bad stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
I do have a cheat meal every now and then though. So
you got to live. Like you got to live and you got to enjoy it. And you got to be able to go out with your mates.
Yep.
So I assume from that you don't drink either.
No, I rarely. I've probably had about 6 drinks in my whole life.
That's so awesome. Like most of the guys I've interviewed in here, yeah, some of them have never had a drink, but they all, are totally non-drinkers. It's so cool. You don't get that in a lot of sports.
No, I know. Yeah, it's just I've just never really been interested in it.
Yeah.
I had a few like last year at the end of the season, like 1 or 2 with my dad or something, but yeah, nothing crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's it definitely catches up with you, all that sort of stuff. Like if you go out and party and big late nights, and for you guys, you go riding most weekends or training, or you've always got stuff on. So
yeah, I don't know how people stay up late. I'm in bed by like 8 o'clock every night. So
oh, really?
Yeah. So I can't do that stuff.
I'll make sure that if we do one of these in future over the phone, I won't ring you too late. We'll make an early one.
Nah, that's all right. It's like 8 to 9. Definitely you'll never see me up past 9 o'clock.
Yeah. So do you get up super early as well? You're one of those people?
Oh, yeah. Well, it depends. If I don't have to get up early, I won't. But usually I do. So, yeah.
Oh, very nice. So you've been doing this day in the life of thing for quite a while now on Instagram. So if any of the listeners haven't checked it out, check out Cody O'Loan's Instagram. He does a day in the life video most days. It shows the day in the life of a pro motocross racer from a privateer's perspective. And they're really awesome. So what brought that on, and how long you been doing that for now?
Oh, I started probably like mid last year. And I don't know, I just had like a brainstorm one day. I thought I'll just start videoing what I do. A lot of people just don't understand what we do.
Yeah.
And they think like it's just a bit of a hobby and we get to just go ride on the weekends, or we leave work early just to go and ride our motorbike. Like it's not really like that at all. And yeah, I just want to show people like, and especially like we have to work and train. Like we don't get to just train full time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to show people what it's like.
No, it's really good, and it shows like it's an everyday thing as well. Like you don't really get you have a day off now and then, obviously, but even on your days off, you're doing stuff to maybe pick up parts for the bike or get things sorted, or you might be doing some easier training or recovery work.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't think I've had a day off this year where I haven't touched a motorbike or done something to do with motorbikes.
Yeah,
every day.
So you work, to support your career as well. What do you do?
So I do concreting with my dad. He owns like a concreting business.
Yeah.
And I just work for him. That's not full time. It's kind of just whenever he needs me. And then I also own my own pressure cleaning business.
Oh, yeah.
And I do like covercrete and tint sealing and all that. So that's where I get most of my work. I do a lot of that because I can ride in the morning and work in the afternoon. And I kind of try and do that mostly, but concreting I do it as well when I have to. So
what's your average week sort of look like? If you were to give me a day-by-day breakdown, what's your average week sort of look like in terms of bike time versus work time versus, off-the-bike training?
It's hard for me just because with work it's different every week. But I try and ride twice during the week and then once or twice on the weekend.
Yeah.
In the season now, I'll only ride Wednesday, Thursday, or Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I'll race on the weekend because we got so much racing at the moment. And that's pretty much just how it goes. And then I'll just fit work on the days I don't ride. And then some days I might even have to work after riding. Like I'll ride on a Thursday morning and then I'll go to work after riding.
Yeah, that's a pretty crazy schedule. And do you still get like a chop out from your oldies as well?
Yeah, they help me out a heap, which is really good. But I couldn't do it without them. Yeah,
privateer life is definitely not easy.
No, definitely not.
So if you're riding like 3 to 4 times a week, your practice bike is obviously getting a fair bit of a workout. Who does all your mechanical work and stays on top of all that stuff?
I do lots of it.
Yeah.
But a good friend of mine, he like helps me with all the stuff that I don't know how to do, and he just like I got a bike at the moment that had to be stripped down and stuff, so he's doing all that for me because I don't know how to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, he does that type of stuff. And then Josh from JR Factory Services, he does all like the suspension side and any motor work or anything like that. So
yeah, so you've got even your practice bike is set up pretty well.
Yeah, I try and have them at the moment. They're not set up the same because just everything's just changed. But yeah, usually I'll have a race and a practice pretty the same.
Yeah. And so did you get a new bike in anticipation of like the ProMX season this year?
Yeah. So I picked up a new bike probably 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And that'll just be for nationals. And then I'll have my other bike for just practicing, and I'll race all the local stuff on the practice bike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you don't bring out your ProMX bike for that?
Yeah, because what I'll do is after ProMX is done, that'll turn into my practice bike.
Yep.
And then I'll sell my practice bike.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'll just have one bike all the way till like around this time again next year, if that makes sense.
Yep. So for a privateer, like you're what would you say, put yourself around a 10 to 20 guy?
Yeah.
Yep. So what sort of stuff do you do to your race bike? Like what sort of work gets done to that?
I literally have a ignition, a full system Yoshi on
Yep.
it, and suspension.
Yeah.
And that's all I have. Oh, and a different set of bars.
And for the listeners, you're running a CRF 450, aren't
Yep.
you? Yeah, yep.
Yeah, CRF 450, and it's pretty much all stock just except for those things are listed. So.
Yeah, yep. No, very nice. And so how do you set up for a track like Wonthaggi when, have you got anything similar to that up where you are?
Oh, I'll be honest, not really.
Yeah.
I'd say Coolum, but Coolum's a lot softer.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not really like the dirt's kind of similar. Maybe there's nothing really like Wonthaggi. I don't think it's different every time I've been to Wonthaggi, so it's hard. Yeah,
that track it's got 1,000 different faces depending on how they prep it. Like it can be wet and deep, it can be dry and deep, it can be hard pack with a base. Like it's all in the prep and it seems to change.
Yeah, I've ridden here like 5 times now.
Yeah,
and it's been different every time. I've never ridden it the same.
Yeah, so you came down a few weeks ago for the AMX Open. Was that like just a bit of a shake up on? Did you have your race bike for that?
No, it was just practice bike still then. Yeah.
Yeah. So were you able to take information though from that event to like get your bike set up, your race bike set up for the first round?
Yeah, we did a little bit. I was trying to do like a bit of testing and stuff at home because I wanted to just get my suspension a little bit different to what it was.
Yeah.
And it was kind of good. I rode down here for that reason, just to go back to Josh and say, hey, like, can we do this and this? So yeah, it definitely did help that way for sure.
Yeah. And so what sort of setup do you like on your bikes in terms of suspension? Are you a pretty good tester and do you know how it all works? Or do you just say, this is what I need, you do the rest?
I'm the most terrible person ever. Like I have zero idea how anything works. I pretty much just say good or bad if I like it. I actually nearly had my mate ride my bike the other day because I was just so like, I don't know if this is good or what. Like I just get so lost. I just like to ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get too far into it at all.
Oh, I am so envious. So you sort of one of those people that can get on just about any bike and ride it reasonably well?
Yeah, but I still I have to be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like I can't just get on any bike and go fast. Like I still like my bikes how I like them.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to like explain it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So when you go for we're digressing a little bit here, but I'm really interested. So when you go for a ride then and something's not working, say the suspension's not quite doing what you want it to do, maybe it's a little bit stiff or, you're getting a lot more feedback through the suspension than you want. So how do you sort of interpret that and then communicate that to...
Well, my problem is I'll just keep riding it.
Yeah.
And I don't do it. I'll just keep riding and just say it's me. I just blame it on myself.
Yeah.
Which I'm trying to fix. Like I know that I got to like understand how it all works. And I've started like calling Josh and going, hey, like this is doing this. And I don't check sag or anything like that. So I've had to really start like doing all these things because obviously you can't do much if you haven't checked the sag or I don't know where the clickers are.
Yeah.
I don't know. And so I've really like had to try and start learning all those type of things. So
yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, it's kind of really good in a sense though, because like if you're used to riding it without doing all that stuff and then you can get it set up right, that's got to feel like, do you notice a big difference then once it's set up right?
I do because my practice bike I have now had a different setting to my race bike.
Yep.
And it's just like, I can't ride my practice bike anymore. Like I struggle so much on it.
Yep.
And it's just like, I really notice now like how good my other bike is. And I'm starting to learn. And I've only realized it the last like 3 weeks since I've changed different suspension. So
that's so awesome. Like for someone that's on the bike so often, I would be anticipating, you guys would know every bolt, every nut, just every little, every clicker. No, but
Yeah, I won't lie. I'm pretty bad with it.
yeah, but every rider, so what I'm sort of getting out of it is every rider's different. Like some riders are really into that sort of stuff and love the tech side. Other riders are just awesome at riding the bike, how it's given to them. And like you said, you just, you know when it's working right, and then that's what you work with.
Yeah. And yeah, like I said, like obviously if it's not good, like I can't just get on a bike and ride it if it's bad or good. Like I have to like it, but I just don't know how to explain to get it to that. Like it's just hard to explain, but yeah.
Yeah. So are you fussy with your controls and stuff, like your bars and where your levers and stuff are? It doesn't really matter.
I wasn't, but I've really started to try and like have them all the same, because usually like I've had it before where I put my throttle side of my grip on, and it was like way out, and I was just riding it for ages. And didn't know, like, I am really bad with that stuff. So I've started to like make sure everything's the same. Both bikes are set up the exact same, and
that's got to be. I think if you're running two bikes, I think that's a great starting point, is trying to get them set up as similarly as you possibly can.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because they're not set up the same at the moment because we haven't had time to do both.
Yeah.
And I can notice it so much.
Yeah, especially if you're going to race your practice bike as well. You kind of want that to resemble.
Oh, exactly. Yep.
Yeah. Awesome. So that begs the question then, how'd you get into moto? Like, have you been into moto since you were a little kid, like most riders?
I didn't start racing until I was 12.
Yep. So that's reasonably late, yeah.
Yeah, I started a lot later than most of the guys have. But yeah, I didn't start racing until I was about 12, which is 2015.
Yep.
I started racing. And I don't know, I wanted to race earlier, but I was a bit bigger of a kid and I didn't fit on a small wheel. So I had to wait till I was 12 to be able to race a big wheel.
Yeah.
So I waited till then. And my birthday's in January. So when I turned 12, I was 2015, I started racing.
So how long had you been riding in the lead up to that?
Probably a good year of just like actual riding.
At tracks?
At actual tracks. Before that, I'd ride every now and then at like a track somewhere. But it was more 2014, I did a bit of coaching and stuff.
Yep.
And then, 2015.
You really wanted to get better from that point.
Definitely.
So how early on did you sort of realise that this might be something that you want to pursue, as a quote career?
Oh, I was like 16, 17 when I thought, I'll keep going.
Yeah.
Because usually at that stage, it's either like, you got to go get an apprenticeship, or like I was nearly out of school because I was 17 and I was like, didn't know what I wanted to do. And I said to mum and dad, like, could I keep racing? Yeah. Obviously, I had to work still, but I didn't have to work a full-time job or go and get an apprenticeship. And they said, I could. So I just started doing it.
Unreal. So did you get, like when you say you knew at sort of 16, 17 that it was something that you wanted to do for a lot longer, for the rest of your life, say, were you finding success racing at that age?
Oh, it sounds funny. I was at like a club day or something like that. And I don't know what it was, but I was feeling it that day. I don't know what it was. And I just remember, I still remember it now. I was in the car with my girlfriend and my mum on the way home. And I just asked mum, I said, can I like do this properly? Yeah. Because at that time, like I had to like choose, like I had to go do nationals or what the go was. And like you can't kind of go and get a full-time job and try and train full-time as well. It's just doesn't really work. Yeah. And I still had 1 year left of school maybe. And I hated school. I never went. And I ended up being allowed to homeschool. Yes. Work and got to ride and train. And it was sick. Like I didn't ride really any more than what I was. Yeah. Because I didn't have a license. So I just had to still
wait till you can get a lift. Yep.
But it was just so like if someone was going riding, I could go. I didn't have to go to school. And it was sick. And that's just kind of when I realized I wanted to actually give it a go.
And what sort of races did you go to at that stage? Were they just all sort of local races, or did you start traveling pretty early on?
It was more just Queensland titles, sunny states. And I never really did nationals. Well, I was just never really good enough, really. Yeah. And old enough either. I was still young. Yeah. And I never did any I did one junior Aussies, and then that was it. That's all I'd done. So.
Yeah. So what was it about moto that you loved? Like, are you able to sort of communicate that, or was it just a feeling, or?
Oh, I love to like train. I love the training and
Yeah.
the lifestyle. It's so good. Like I don't get like a lot of us don't understand how good we have it. Like we get to go ride during the week and like, that's just so good.
Yeah. If it's what you want to do, like, there's nothing better. Like,
There isn't. And I'm lucky I have the opportunity I can work and ride during the week. And it's so good. Like I get to wake up, go and ride with my mates because we're all riding together.
Yeah.
And then I get to go and work in the afternoon. And that was my day. Like it's so fun.
So do you train with other guys that are on the pro circuit at the moment?
Yeah. So I do a day a week with the Forddale crew.
Yep.
And then the other days I ride with my mate Luke Zielinski
Oh, yeah.
and Kai Orchard.
Yep.
Yeah. So we all ride together and my brother Zach. So
Yeah, of course. Yep.
but I've also started training with Daniel McCoy.
Yep.
And that's been really good. So we've been trying to ride with him a lot, and we ride with that Phoenix Jackson.
Yes. Yep.
Yep. So yeah, we've got a good little group at the moment. So yeah, it's good.
Daniel McCoy is the one that rides with the frame
Yes.
on his bike. He rips. He was at
does.
the Vets last year. Absolutely blew me away.
Yeah, he's really fast, like crazy.
Yeah, yeah, and he's obviously a savage. I mean, the guts to go out and race in a frame, and he had a sweep rider like following him around, who obviously has to be pretty fast as well to keep up with him. Like that's just, it was like inspirational to watch the way he rides.
It was, and like Coolum's not easy.
Oh,
Like it is hard to ride, and he's just ripping out there.
yeah. As a mere mortal, like I was up there doing media stuff. Like I honestly think that I would have struggled to make it from one end of one of the straights up to another. Like that's how gnarly that track looked. And like, you know, I know some of the vet guys that were racing and obviously you guys, but you guys are all on a completely different level. But I've actually shared the track with some of those vet guys, and even some of the ones that are like really, really good at your regional races were struggling. And it was only those elite few up there that were, you know, getting around sort of anything close to what you guys were.
Yeah, it got so rough that last moto that day. It was gnarly. And I guess we're pretty used to it because I've raced there. I started there in 2015, so I've used to like racing there.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're not used to it, it's pretty like crazy. And we still like get shocked sometimes with how rough it gets.
Yeah. So have they closed that now though?
Yeah, it's fully gone.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's the plan there? Are they just they're turning it into like a factory complex because it's right on the back of an industrial estate?
Yeah, it is. And then you can't see it, but there's actually a full housing estate right behind it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, you just can't see because there's like a row of trees.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. But yeah, like someone bought the whole land and they're putting all industrial
Subdividing
sheds
it all.
there.
Yeah. Yeah, that blew me away because I had to drive. I was staying on the Goldie, and I had to drive 2 hours in there in the morning. So I left at like 4 a.m. and I was getting there, and we had the media briefing, and it was like I was driving through an industrial estate, following my sat nav, and I was just like, this does not look. And I hadn't seen another motorbike, another trailer, another van, and I started to freak out. I'm like, oh, I've just driven 2 hours, and you're just driving like through a fairly new factory complex, and you turn the corner, and it was like drive over this bump and go through a paddock, and all of a sudden there's a moto track.
Yeah, it's so weird how it is, but it's always been like that. You always drive through the industrial area.
Yeah.
It's at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we don't have anything even close to that down here. Like all our tracks are pretty much in the boondocks, even like the ones that are closer into town. I guess we've got Frankston, which is shut at the moment, but that's surrounded by houses. But beyond that, yeah, we don't have anything like Coolum at all.
Yeah, really. Did you go to Toowoomba?
Yeah, no. Toowoomba was one of the rounds. I didn't go to Toowoomba, Appin, or Maitland last year.
Oh, yep.
So
that's wild. You drive through like all these like houses.
Yeah.
And then there's just like a driveway to your left. You go down this hill, and then there's a track. In the middle of like this full estate. Like it's a full housing estate. It's so weird.
And they don't have issues with neighbours and stuff out there?
No, they don't. And I think they've made the rule like because they were there before the houses.
Yeah.
I don't think the council can get in up them or something. They have something where they don't get in trouble.
Yeah, okay.
And I don't think they really ever have.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a place like that here in Victoria. I think it was Seymour, where they opened like a subdivision next to a existing track, a club that had been around for a long time. They sold the blocks cheaper because they were like, right next door to the track. And then once they sold, a group of the residents got together and put pressure on the council, and the track ended up getting closed. So
Really?
yeah, it's that was the version of events that I had heard, and like I said, the club had been around for like a long, long time. So that stuff always makes me nervous, is when you got houses near tracks.
Yeah.
But, no, Toowoomba was definitely one of the tracks that I only was able to watch that on the broadcast last year, but that was one of the tracks that I loved. I'm so looking forward to going there this year because I love the elevation changes and stuff. They were just unreal.
Oh, it's one of my favorite tracks. We actually raced there on the weekend.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It was just a club day.
So how'd you go up there?
Yeah. We went.
Yeah, yep, you
It
went.
was just one of those days.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. I didn't ride terrible. It was just we struggled a bit, but yeah.
Yeah.
And I ended up DNFing with my bike and that. So it's just, like I said, one of those days. Yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
I'm not angry about it or anything. So
Yeah, you forget about it moving into this
Yep.
weekend for
yeah,
sure.
definitely.
So in terms of like turning pro, you're obviously in the 450 class. Like, how long have you been pro? Did you start in the MX2 class or MX3, or did you go straight sort of to MX1?
So it was 2020 was my first year of full senior,
2020.
and that
Yep.
was COVID year.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, and I was meant to do under 19s back
at
then.
that stage, yep.
I was meant to do 1 year of under 19s, and then that obviously didn't happen. And like so what happened was that I went to America while COVID was on.
Yep.
And I rode a 450 there because that's all I could get. And I was like, oh, I love this thing. I ended up coming home and getting a 450, racing 2 bikes, like local stuff for the rest of the year. And then in 2021, I just went straight 450 and yeah, just rid it since. So yeah, I've never done like an MX2 race or
Yep.
anything like that. I have local, but never a
Yeah,
national.
yeah, of course, yep.
Yeah.
So what is it about the 450 that you like better?
I think I'm a bit bigger and I ride pretty like aggressive, as in like I never suited a 250 good. I always rode a 450 better.
Yeah.
And that's probably because I don't have the best like style sometimes and I bury it a lot. So I rode the 450 better because it would pull me out of those situations.
Yeah.
Which definitely isn't the right way to look at it. But yeah, I always just rode it better. So we thought we may as well. And they're a lot cheaper. Like 250s are so expensive
Especially to maintain and to get fast as well.
Yeah, and I'm paying for my own bike, so I don't want to be trying to keep up with the 250. I mean, I'd race one, but it's just a lot of maintenance.
Yeah. One thing that I sort of find with a lot of the riders that I talk to, a lot of them are, especially in the MX2 class, so they've got a 250 race bike, but they all train on 450s because of the maintenance factor. But that's got to be hard to then be, on point on race day when you've been training on a completely different bike with different characteristics.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that. I just feel like I would ride it too much like a 450.
Yeah.
And like you only got a 20-minute practice to get used to it. And I don't know, I just feel like that wouldn't suit me. And I have thought of that. And I've raced a 450 and a 250 on the same day before.
Yeah.
And it was just no good.
That was going to be my next question when you said that.
Yeah.
That's just, that's pretty full on. Like,
Yeah, it just, I could never do it. So I just decided it's just one bike and that's it. So
yeah. And do you focus a lot on sort of technique when you say you like to, I guess, manhandle the bike a little bit and ride that way? Do you focus a lot on technique though when you're practicing and training?
I do, and I have been a lot the last couple years. Ford has really been like putting it into us especially me.
Yeah.
Just with my style and my technique, like, because that's where I get let down a lot is my technique and bearing it and all those type of things. So I really do work on that.
Yeah.
A lot.
The reason I ask is because when you came down for the AMX Open, like even talking with one of the other guys out on the track, like while we were watching all you guys race, like you were actually, I would say, one of the smoothest. You looked the smoothest getting around on what was a pretty rough and square edgy. It was, not ripped that deep. It was a pretty square edgy track. And I know a lot of riders struggled with suspension setup and just feeling comfortable. And you actually looked like one of the smoothest riders out there. So
Yeah, thank you. I definitely feel it.
yeah.
I just, yeah, I'm glad the other guys felt the same because that's exactly how I felt. It was really hard to like feel comfortable both days actually. Like the track was, I just didn't feel comfy, but it's good now. I've done it and I know what the track's going to be like now. I think it caught me off guard because last time I was here, it was just like totally different.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. Was that last year?
yeah.
Yeah, and that was really deep and wet, wasn't it?
Oh, ridiculous.
So what's your goal with racing then? So you've obviously been racing at a professional level for a few years now. Like, what's your goal? Are you looking? Might be sound a bit silly, but you're looking to get picked up by a team, or are you know what are you hoping to achieve, or just to keep it going and the way it is and have fun?
I mean, a team would be great. I'm definitely not at that level yet. So I just want to keep getting better.
Yeah.
I'm super like hard on myself and just, like I said, love to train. And I just want to keep getting better, get good results. I feel like I just haven't had a year yet where I've ridden how I've wanted to and just had good results. I've always just, it's never been like happened all year where it's just been good.
Yeah.
So that's just my biggest goal this year is just for everything to go good. Like
Yeah.
When I have like a solid year where I go, oh wow, that was good.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's definitely it.
It's one of the hard things with this sport. It, like all months and months of grinding and hard work and effort and trying to create a mindset, you know, to be able to focus and perform on race day, it can all be undone like in an absolute instant. How do you sort of deal with those sorts of things when you're on a day-to-day basis? Like it might be a mechanical, you know, it might be a tip over, it might be another rider running into you and you know, taking you out of a race. Like how do you sort of go dealing with that sort of stuff?
Oh, I've always struggled with it. Like I've been really like struggle a lot with mentally when I'm racing.
Yeah.
And I've just learned like as of recent, you just, if you have a bad race, it's fine. Just go again.
Yeah.
Like it is what it is. Like you can't fix it, do anything about it. You can change what's going to happen next. So that's all you got to do. I used to get real angry and like, it just made me worse and worse. And I'd just keep getting worse.
Yeah.
So I'm just, trying to, if I have a bad race, that's fine. We go again. Yeah, that's definitely how I'm trying to do it.
I mean, it's pretty cliche, but everyone sort of says, you know, when you're having fun is when you're riding your best, or when you're relaxed, you're riding your best. And I can definitely relate to that, not even as a rider, but just in my day-to-day life, like fixating on little things that come up and little hurdles that come up and things that don't necessarily go your way. And it's pretty easy to stop doing something or stop pursuing something if you've got a goal, because you start to feel overwhelmed from all these little things. And that's why I've got this. I saw this quote a couple of years ago and I've got it printed up there. And it's changed the way that I pursue even, say, my media career here. And it's, commit to the activity, not to the outcome, commit to the decade, not to the day.
I've seen that up there. I like that. Yeah, that's awesome.
And it just reminded me, like, you know, if you focus on a particular result on a race, for instance, and it's so easy to get down. But if you fast forward to the end of the year and you look back and go, well, I've achieved what I wanted to 9 times out of 10, like it's a pretty good year. But on that day, if you're fixating on that one shitty result, it's easy to think that like everything's coming undone.
100%. And I feel like I used to get so fixated on just like a result, and it's like you can't. You just So I'm trying to just work through that and be different with that. But yeah, definitely.
Talking to some of the younger riders and like asking them what they want to achieve even on a particular day, say at a race. I find it funny that a lot of them, not funny, but interesting, that a lot of them will have, all right, so in this particular race, say, I want to finish top 10, you know, at this particular event. And I find that a really strange goal to have because, but I understand it as well. But like if I feel like, and this is, correct me if I'm wrong, I feel like if you're in the middle of a race and your goal is, all right, I want to get a top 10. So you're looking to get around 10th place. If you are outside of top 10, you could be riding the best you've ever ridden, but you're going to be feeling frustrated. You know, you're not where you want to be. And adversely, I think psychologically, if you were all of a sudden coming 8th or 5th, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to start feeling pressure. It's like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting to be up this far at the front. Or you're going to just start maybe relaxing and going, well, I'm going to let this guy pass me because he's putting pressure on me, even though maybe you're riding at a level that guy wouldn't get past you if you were riding at your best. And so I find it strange that like you've got a place, because having that as a goal isn't going to, it's not going to benefit your riding one way or another. Like focusing on your actual riding and getting out there and enjoying it and focusing on your technique or your lap times is what's actually going to make the difference.
Yeah, 100%. And I've never always said like I want to get this result.
Yeah.
I've just never said that, and I don't know why. I've always hated like having that like I have to get that result, and it's just like then that's all you think all weekend. Everything you do, you qualify nowhere near that result, and then it wrecks your whole day.
Yeah.
I just want to go ride good.
Yeah.
That's all I care about. And the rest will come. I feel like the results will come anyway. So that's the way I look at it, because that does happen.
Yeah, 100%. And I have to admit, like I've done it, and I think it's lazy media sometimes. Like I ask the question, oh, what are you hoping to get in? And so I guess I'm complicit in that sometimes. But, when I talk to like the riders on the rider support program and stuff, like I don't care. From my perspective, I don't care what you guys come. Like I want you to go out and have fun and be good people and enjoy what you're doing. And I love chatting to you guys after the races. And, I'd much prefer to see you happy with your result than getting 3rd or 5th or 10th or 20th or whatever that goal is, So it's, do you know when you've ridden well, like at a race?
Yeah.
You feel it?
I definitely do. You're happy.
Yeah.
You leave there satisfied. Yeah, you do. I do definitely. I don't know what it is. I just get this feeling. I was like, I rode good today.
Yeah.
And sometimes it wasn't even like, I even get it during the week. Like it may not even be spectacular as in I'm not as quick as the other guys, but I know I rode good.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's all that matters. Like,
yeah.
And usually about, they're quicker than me. Like that's not, it shouldn't be like that. Like and you just start like, you're just chasing this thing.
It's such a mental game, isn't it?
It is.
It really is. And it's the same, like you see it, even when you're watching like the Supercross in the US, like you'll get a rider that hasn't, and I've said it before on the podcast, like you'll get a rider that has never podiumed before, and then they get a podium, and all of a sudden they're fighting for wins or podiums week in, week out. And it's not like they just became a better rider from one week to the next. They didn't get fitter. Their technique didn't get any better. Like confidence can make or break a rider. Like, do you find yourself as a confident rider, or are you pretty fickle as far as confidence goes?
Yeah, my confidence. That's what I struggle with a lot.
Yeah.
Is not like having confidence, but like I said, really trying to like be better at it. And that's just comes from like chasing that result or something, chasing something all the time when you're just not being satisfied. And like, I guess you gotta, it's hard because it's like, I don't want to be satisfied because I want to keep getting better.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be in that mindset where I'm getting worse.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's so hard
100%.
to explain. But
No, I totally understand. And I think that's the place you want to be. You want to be happy with what you're doing, but still hungry for more. And I don't think those are mutually exclusive.
No, but it's so hard to be like, get in that headspace.
Yeah, of course. Like,
it's like, I say that that's what I want, but it is hard.
Yeah.
So,
So do you do any sort of mental coaching or anything like that, or is it?
Nah, I have good people around me.
Yeah.
And like Ford and Dan and mum and dad and a lot of my mates, like they all help. And I just talk to them and they always say like, do this, do that. And always
so they're pretty supportive.
They are.
Yeah.
And I always ask Ford and Dan and stuff like heaps of questions, and like they always say if they see I have a bad day at the track, they're like, it's all right, just be better tomorrow.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, what sort of feedback do they give you when you're having one of those days?
Yeah, because when I have a bad day, you can tell. I get pretty frustrated.
Yeah.
I put way too much effort into have bad days. And
Yeah.
obviously you're always going to have bad days, but it's just really frustrating.
Yeah.
So I've been really trying to like work on that. Like if I have a bad day, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, just leave. It's all good. We get to ride again tomorrow or whenever it is. Yeah, I don't want to leave angry or anything like that. So
Yeah. So how does that sort of manifest itself? Do you get angry, or do you get sad or withdrawn?
I'm like
or?
a big hothead. Like I get real angry.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I couldn't picture it. Like every time I've
it's
spoken to you, always sort of chill
so
and
bad.
laughing. And
I know, it's just when I just love it so much.
Yeah.
When I have a bad day, it's just so frustrating. Especially when we do sprint. I can never do a sprint lap to save my life.
Yeah.
Like I've never been good at it. I'm really trying this year, and we've done so many sprint laps this year, like insane. And I always like work myself up for it and then just wreck it. And then I get so angry and I start blowing up at the track and I'm getting all angry about everything. And but we're getting better with it.
Yeah. So what is it about the sprint laps that do you try too hard? You think is that?
I think 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I just too hard. I just try and like just send it. I blow out everything. I go over ruts. I've like literally gone off the track.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty full on, but
Yeah. It's not something like obviously like that level of understanding of what you guys are doing. I don't know firsthand, but it's something that I'm seeing more and more. Like, and it's not something that I guess I ever really thought about. But the ability to override like can really make you go a lot slower. And
I pretty much every time we do a sprint day, I override
yeah,
every single time. Like
Yeah.
I'm really bad at overriding. So yeah, that's what we've worked on heaps lately is just no overriding. And it's so like it's crazy how much quicker you are when you don't override.
yeah,
And at Coolum was the worst. Like a sprint lap there, I'd put down a really good lap, and then some laps are like, what was I doing? Because you could override that track really quickly just because of how soft it was.
yeah,
Bury the bike, you're done.
yeah.
It's a second nearly every corner sometimes, burying the bike. And
When it comes to the really sort of technical tracks, that's something that I'm just starting to realise, like with my own riding, that not trying to go fast and riding smooth and steady and confident, like in terms of your lap times and your overall speed, is so much faster than trying to go fast all the time.
oh, it's so much better.
Yeah.
And like at the moment, we've had so much rain up our way. We've just had technical tracks pretty much every time we've ridden.
Yeah.
And it's been really good for me because like I need to be better at that because
Yes,
you can't
yeah.
override a muddy track.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you can, but you'll see on lap times when you do it. So yeah, I've really been trying to like no overriding, ride to the condition kind of thing. And it's been really good to do that.
And that's got to help you heaps. Like looking at the ProMX Championship, those tracks often get deeper and more technical than anything you see on the local or regional, or even the state scene, really. So do you think that sort of this year and the tracks that you've been riding are going to help you through the ProMX Championship this year?
I think so. I hope so.
Yeah.
Like the tracks we ride during the week do get pretty rough, especially when like the Fordale boys, like
Yeah. you're
sometimes
riding with
after a
some-
day of them, like it is gnarly.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's really good. So yeah, I'm hoping it helps.
Unreal. You said before a little bit earlier, and it was something that I had noted to ask you about. You were talking about an earlier trip to the US, but you did one just more recently as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did one last year. Yep.
Yeah. What was that like?
Oh, that was a bucket list thing I've wanted to do for a very long time.
Yeah.
And it was kind of, I sold my van and everything to do it. Like I went all in on this trip
Yeah.
and I went and did it. It was so good.
So how long did you go for, and
it's
where
just-
did you stay and all that?
So I went for 2 months.
Yep.
The first 2 weeks I did like a little holiday with my partner.
Yep.
And a few friends of ours, and we went to like the LA Supercross, the super motocross race.
Oh yes, yeah.
Did
At
all
the Coliseum.
that. Yeah, yep, at the Coliseum. Did all that and just like holidayed. It was off season, so it was good. Like we got to just do whatever. And then my best mates live at MTF, like at a house across the road. And I've wanted to see them for ages because I haven't obviously got to see them. So I went and stayed there for a month and went and just lived there, and we rode and trained every day. That's
Yeah.
all we did. It was crazy. So much fun. And then I did another 2 weeks in California with my mum and brother because my brother wanted to come over and just have a ride.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just did 2 weeks just riding there, and the World Vets was on.
Yep.
And good friends of ours, Ash Obacker,
Yes.
he was racing World Vets. So we just like got to hang there with them for 2 weeks and ride with them, and I helped him out at the race. And
Did you ride at Glen Helen as well?
we did one day there. Yeah, I didn't get to race.
Yeah.
Obviously, but yeah.
You're a bit young for that.
Yeah, I am. I think like it was 25 as the youngest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So what was
Few
Glen
ones.
Helen like to ride? I mean, that'd be on my bucket list. Like, that place is just iconic, and it just looks so unreal.
Well, I've been there like that was my 3rd time now.
Oh, wow. Yep.
And the track was the best it's been, but the wind, like you couldn't jump. And honestly, like we were going down straights and we were moving.
That's crazy. Yeah.
So like even when we come in on the pits, you have to park your bike behind the van because they fall over off the sand. That's how windy it was.
Jesus.
So yeah, it was like good that day, but just not that good because it was so windy.
Yeah.
But the track in general is so good.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Does it get as rough as, like, it's got a reputation, especially like they call it the Thursday afternoon motos, like, of how rough it actually gets out there? Like, is it rough? Like,
So edgy.
yep.
Yeah, it does. It gets real edgy and rough. And we rode, we did one of those Thursday afternoons there before, and all the teams were there riding in the afternoon because there was a heap of rain.
Yep.
It was so gnarly that day, like crazy gnarly.
Yeah. So
And
how would it compare to like one of our national tracks in terms of roughness, or is it just different because it's a hard pack track?
Yeah, it's different. Like they don't really like rotary hoe their tracks. Like they do, but not like here. It's hard to explain, but like they're so wide open. It's not like here where it's just real short and big ruts and real sharp bumps everywhere. Like over there, because it's so fast, like there's not so much like stopping and starting, and the ruts are a lot more like different.
Yeah.
There's totally different tracks. It's hard to like kind of explain.
I was talking to a rider a while back that had done a fair bit of racing in the US, and he was saying that our tracks are like their junior or amateur tracks, that everything over there is so much bigger and faster and more open. And even Liam Owens, when I had him on the podcast, and he was saying that was actually the hardest thing that he found to get used to when he went over the first time to race in the MXGPs over there, or the EMX I think he raced, was that the tracks are so fast and open compared to what we have.
Oh yeah, they're totally different, and like that's what I had to get used to, is just like kind of holding it pinned.
Yeah.
Like especially on a 450 is gnarly, and a lot of them guys are just so good at them tracks because it's wide open.
Yeah.
So I had to get used to that, definitely.
Yeah, and then obviously it's a completely different animal being like higher speed and then having to still come into a rut, and like the preparation's different, the timing's different, your spatial awareness of your braking zones and everything's going to be impacted by that.
Yeah, and like there's jumps are way bigger.
Yeah.
Like we do have jumps that size, but they're just so like built up and big. If that makes sense. Everything's just huge.
Bigger. Yep.
Yeah.
It's America. Everything's bigger.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
people and the cars and the motorbike tracks as well.
Yeah, and that takes a bit to get used to. And like Parla, it's Fox Raceway now.
Yeah,
they call it. Glen Helen, and like even Paris, they like the ruts don't get big.
Oh,
Like,
really?
It's not deep like here.
Yeah, okay.
Like the ruts here get double the size. Like they kind of, some days you ride, they're just so shallow.
Yeah.
And there's not many ruts at all. And some days, if they have rain, they'll get bigger. But yeah, they're not that big, the ruts.
It sounds like
Not
my
the-
kind of place.
Yeah, not the tracks I've ridden anyway.
Yeah.
MTF was a different story.
Yeah.
That was like gnarly. But yeah. In
So
California.
did you train with Colleen or anything
Yeah.
like that? Yep.
Yeah, so it's Colleen and another guy, Brian.
Yep.
And they're the two trainers. She's crazy. Like
Yeah,
in
yeah.
a good way. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
she's it was cool. It was like bucket list.
Tell me about it. Like, what was it like? You know, the whole
like-
experience. How many guys did you have riding, and what was she like? Like, what'd she focus on?
So there was groups. There's like 3 different groups, and you'd get like a Discord the night before of what your plan was. So you always did warm up in the morning in the gym with the trainer Jacob. He was like just the fitness trainer, and then you would ride, and then you'd go back and do another session in the afternoon.
Yes.
And that's every single day, 4 days a week. And then Friday's just gym or cycle or whatever it was. I think it was an hour and a half, something.
Yeah.
And then, Colleen was like, she gives it to you.
Yeah.
Definitely. And like, there was days like she pretty much called me a sook for not doing this wheel tap.
Yep.
And I was like, it was big.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't, and we don't have that stuff here. Like, we rode 2 days on the motocross and 2 days on the, like, they call it the amateur supercross.
Yeah, okay.
And it's the replica of the Mini O's one.
Yeah.
Because I was there right before Mini O's. We were just doing all Mini O's prep. And yeah, she was gnarly and just
Full on.
Full on. And just like the things like, and she'd just get up me like, why aren't you doing that? And I'm like, okay. And then like, we did a day on the supercross track on motocross suspension. And they're like, so and she was telling us to skim the whoops with motocross suspension. And I'm just like, wow, like I've never skimmed a set of whoops in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like I was on a bone stock KTM. And I was just like, man, this is wild, eh? I tried skimming the first 3 and I nearly crashed. I was like, that's me done. I'm just going to jump these things. And then I jumped the Supercross triple, which was huge. Like, I feel like everything's just huge over there. But yeah, it was good. The kids over there are gnarly.
Yeah, yeah.
That was the biggest thing I took away from there was just like, every kid over there wanted to win.
Yep.
And it didn't matter if it was in the gym on a Monday morning, riding on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
They're there to win.
Yeah.
They don't care about you, anyone else. They are there to win. And I love that.
Yeah,
I thought that was awesome because like I got put over the berm like 5 times while I was there.
Yeah.
Just fully cleaned out off the berm because they don't care. They're like, you're in my way.
Yeah.
And I really like that because it just made you like, just work more, I guess, and harder.
Yeah.
And push more on the track. And so that was good.
That's awesome. It definitely will appeal to particular types of riders, but I can imagine it probably put other types of riders off, like depending on what you like and what your mindset is.
Yeah. I love the training. So for me, it was pretty good. Yeah. But even at the end, I was pretty tired. I was like, this is full on. Like the amount of training we do, like we'd only get 1 day off a week.
Yeah. Which
is fine. But the other days are like full on. It is 100% training every single day, all day, every day. Like we'd wake up at 7. So we like sleep in the mornings a bit, wake up at 7 and you'd go all the way till 6 o'clock that night.
Yeah.
And then for me, because I had to do bike, a lot of the kids have mechanics, so they don't have to worry. But I'd go and do bike work again and I wouldn't finish till like 7:30 some nights.
Yeah.
And then go to sleep and do it all again.
Yeah.
Every day. And I was like, this is sick. It was so fun.
But you can't keep doing that forever either.
Oh, no. And like, it cost me so much in bike parts.
Yeah.
Because you ride I put 25 hours in 4 weeks and we got rained out a few days.
That's insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That is a lot of bike time.
Yeah. And that was with 2 rain out days.
Yeah.
And I put 25 hours on my bike.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So what was, just changing the topic a little bit, what was the Supercross or Super Motocross at the LA Coliseum like? That looked unreal as an event.
That was good. Yeah. Seeing Jet ride, that was cool. Like, I just thought he did that like triple onto that step on or whatever it was.
Yep.
And that was just like, we were sitting right there. That's like a highlight. I'll never forget it.
Yeah.
I just couldn't believe like he did that and how good they are when you're sitting there watching them.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, you get definitely a different perspective. Like even when you get guys like Max Anstey and Dean Wilson and Justin Brayton come over here, and like if you were to see any of the top Australian riders on a track on any given weekend against, normal competition, they look like they're world beaters. And then just to see the level that some of these US riders are on it, and like Max Anstey, he had the red plate. He's had some pretty up and down results. He's not a consistent winner in the US, but over here, like he looks like no one in the world could ever beat him, when you see him on one of our Aussie Supercross tracks. So it gives you a little bit of perspective, I think, as to just how good Jet is as a rider, because that's an absolute killer's lineup over there at the moment.
Oh, it was, crazy. And while I think of it, we we always had Fridays off at MTF.
Yep.
And one day the Star Racing guys rocked up, and it was Webb and Jordan Smith.
Yep.
And they were doing laps on the Supercross track. I think it was before Paris Supercross maybe. And that was awesome. I literally sat there for like their whole moto.
Yeah.
Just watched them. It was so good. Like just getting to watch, like be that close and to watch that. And they're so good.
Do you learn anything when you're watching those guys ride, or are you just sitting there enjoying it like any other fan?
Oh, no, I watch what they do.
Yeah.
I look at corner stuff, what they're doing in the corners. Like I didn't see him stop and start or do anything in a corner. It was just so like
flowy
in and out.
Yeah.
And that was cool.
Did you see that photo that was making the rounds this week of Jet coming into the rhythm lane, and he's got his foot under the foot peg, like jammed under the foot peg? Have you seen that? So I think Lee Hogan posted it, and it did the rounds, and he said, "What do you think he's doing?" And it's basically it allows him to seat bounce harder without getting his butt bounced off the seat, and he's got his left foot like jammed up under his foot peg. You know, the bike's leaned over as well. It looks crazy, but it's not something I've ever seen before. And it's like, it's just beyond the realm of mere mortals, I think.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen, I'll have to go look at that.
Yeah, yeah.
That'd be scary.
Yeah. Oh, if you're seat bouncing that hard.
Oh,
like
that's crazy. I did watch a video and they were saying how his seat bounce different. Like he sits in a different spot to everyone else so he can seat bounce harder or something like that. But yeah, I'll have to look at that.
Oh, that's probably one of the things he uses to let himself do that.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So without talking about positions and stuff, what are your bigger goals for the ProMX season this year?
I just get every race done.
Yeah.
I just want to finish all the races and have a good overall. That's
Be consistent.
Be consistent.
Be safe.
Yep. Definitely consistent.
Yeah.
I just want to be there every weekend that we race, and just have a good overall. Have just a solid year. That's what I want.
You sort of said before that you get pretty passionate when things aren't going your way. When you're actually racing, do you keep a pretty cool head, like when you're in a battle, or is it sort of, do you get the see red a little bit?
Like when I'm in a battle, I'm fine. Like I don't get angry at another guy.
No, I just meant, but do you ride beyond yourself sometimes? Or?
Yeah, I do get a bit loose. If I'm feeling it, I get a bit loose. Like, because I'll just start like doing things that I kind of can't do, that I'm not capable of doing, and I get carried away real easy. But when I'm not in the position I want, I get I start seeing red.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that's what I got to fix.
Yep.
And just calm down a little bit.
Yep. Realize that it's just not happening that day, or that you got to.
Yeah.
Claw it back slowly.
My problem is I'll be riding fine, but I'm seeing red. So it's hard to like calm down and move forward when you're just seeing red and being so angry.
Yeah.
So that's my
Do you make more mistakes when you're riding like that?
I'll get the worst arm pump. I'll make mistakes every single corner.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And it's like, if I just wasn't angry right now, everything would be fine. But I just get so angry. So, yeah.
Like I said, I can't imagine it, man. But, it's, that's why I call this podcast Inside the Helmet, because we get a bit of an insight into what's actually going on in your guys' heads.
Yeah, well, if you ask some of the boys at the track during the week, they've seen it.
Yeah. So, in terms of like what you've got planned for the rest of the year as well, are you looking to do any Supercross in the future, or is that not sort of on the cards for you?
Yeah, nah, I won't do any Supercross this year. It's hard. I wouldn't mind doing it, but I want to just try and keep going back to America. That's my biggest thing. So,
would you look at racing over there? Would that be
that's
a goal at some point?
I really want to go over there and do that as a thing.
Outdoors? Or Supercross as well?
Don't know.
Yeah.
It's more, I haven't really thought that far ahead. I just want to go to America.
Yep.
Not yet, but later on. So I kind of just trying to go over there bit by bit, and like I got to get my next thing over there is trying to get a bike and that type of stuff. So I just said I won't do Supercross, and that's kind of my time to worry about doing that stuff.
Yeah, okay.
In America, I'll do that stuff over there. So
you don't think like Aussie Supercross would help you prepare for life in the US, like racing in the US?
It probably would, but after motocross, I try and work and make money, and it's just hard to try and find Supercross tracks to ride, and
it's expensive as well. Yeah.
It gets really like it's expensive to ride Supercross.
Yep.
To like ride a track and trying
Set
to
your
do
bike up for it.
yeah, and just doing all that, it's just a bit hard.
Yep.
I mean, if my brother did it, it might be a different story. We could be a bit easier for me, but then I'd have to try and get away to all the rounds and I'm kind of more wanting to go to America and do that in that time of the year.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. So and obviously I won't be there the whole time Supercross is on because I got to I like to work and really save my money up in that time.
Yep.
And do that type of stuff.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's been awesome having you in studio. We've just ticked over an hour, so we'll start winding it up. Before we go, is there anything else you want to say or anyone you wanted to thank or mention, like who supports your program?
All my sponsors are so good to me. Definitely my friend, the Downies, Flow Right Plumbing, they bring my bike down here, and that just helps me out so much. Like, that was so good.
That's unreal. Like, that's got to make a massive difference.
It does, and I'm so grateful for it.
Yep.
And they'll take my bike to all the rounds, and I won't fly to all the rounds. I'll drive to some, but these far away ones, I get to fly down here. I got to work yesterday instead of driving all day.
Yeah.
And it was just easier, really good for me. So definitely them. Back Designs just gave me hooked me up with sticker kits for my bike, so that's really good. So I got new stickers for my bike that I haven't really shown anyone yet, so that'll be cool. I got like different color plastics and everything on my race bike, so I have to do a reveal tomorrow.
We'll get some shots over the weekend as well.
Yeah, the race bike's looking pretty good.
Nice.
But and just everyone else that helps me. Yeah, it's awesome. So, and obviously Underclass giving me the best gear.
Yeah. So, that gear definitely looks trick too. I was saying off air, I'm a fan. I love that the white with the pink and blue.
Yes.
Like, that looks unreal.
That's sick gear.
Yeah.
I love it. I've been trying to keep that really good just for this weekend.
Yeah, okay.
I didn't want to wear it or get it dirty or anything. I just wanted to keep it fresh. So
well, good luck this weekend. Like we sort of said off air, we'll splice it in right about this point, but we're going to check back in with Cody and see how he went at round one, and we'll splice it in here so the listeners will be able to find out. So keep listening.
Sweet. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in studio, mate. It's been a real pleasure, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, we've got Cody O'Loan back on the line. We were going to get him on after the Wonthaggi ProMX National, but it's now been round 1 and 2. So we've had Wonthaggi and Horsham. So welcome back, Cody. We thought we'd check in with you and, just talk about the first 2 rounds. How are you going?
Yeah, thank you for having me again. Pretty good, thank you.
Yeah, back to training and doing all the stuff you do in between rounds?
Yeah, just doing the same thing that we've been doing. Obviously, we're not doing as much just because we've had a lot of racing on, even just up here with local stuff. So I've been just trying to, get everything done and,
So have you been doing any gate drops up there outside of the Nationals?
Yeah, we've had a heap of racing. Like, we have had the Sunny States, and there's always like club days going on here and there. And because we got 3 rounds that are near where I live for the Nationals at the end of the year, there's all been like races at those places. So we've been trying to do those events as well.
Yep.
So we've been busy.
That's awesome. It's got to make it a lot easier to stay sharp. That's for sure.
Yeah, it is good. It's just we've had a few 2 weekends off, I think. So it's been good just to rest a little bit. But I love racing, so it's been good.
Unreal. Well, if you've been that busy, I might have to pick your memory a little bit because we'll go back to Wonthaggi and chat about that a little bit. Round 1, of course. How was your round and how did you go? I think the track shaped up quite similarly to the AMX Open, which was earlier in the year. But how did your round 1 go?
I mean, it was a bit of a tough day, but I mean, we got it done, and the track, like you said, was the same as the AMX Open, I thought.
Yeah.
It was pretty similar. It definitely just gets rough. Like, you don't even notice how rough it is till you're kind of like out there, if that makes sense. But once we're out there, I'm just like, wow, this is definitely rough, especially that second moto.
Yes, yeah.
But it just had a bit of a base this year, which I wasn't used to in the other years. But I'm glad we did that race because it kind of was similar. So, it was good to do that.
I've had that with in conversation with other people that were, watching from the spectator areas. When I was out on the track taking photos and I had to cross the track, like I got a real appreciation for actually how rough and how deep it was. And then when I was back in the public areas, you couldn't always see it. So yeah, that was a real surprise. But what I did notice when I watched it back on the telecast, like the replay, you actually got a really good idea of how rough it got. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, it was it was gnarly, and like you said, you can't tell until you're out there.
Yep.
And even the same for Horsham, they were both the same. Like they don't look too rough. And then when you're out there riding, and especially on the sight lap, you're like, oh wow, I've got to do a 25-minute moto on this.
Yeah. Is that challenging?
Yeah.
You know, is that challenging when the track, because Wonthaggi changed quite a bit through the day as well. And like you said, the second moto was super rough. Do you make many like bike changes in between motos in anticipation that it's going to get a lot rougher?
We do bits and pieces, but I mean, I don't like changing too much because I know how the bike is, how it is at that time, if that makes sense. And I don't want to like keep changing things, and like you can't change something when you're out there. So at least if I stick with what I got, I know what it's like.
Yeah.
And I kind of just run that.
And you were good friends with Braden Urbacher, and it was obviously the anniversary of the incident from round one last year. Like, how did you go with that? Was that quite a challenge? Like, did that add an extra element of of emotion to the day for you?
Oh yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
Definitely tough. But I mean, yeah, I know he would have wanted us to be out there racing and doing our best, so that's just what we did. And yeah, we got through the day. It was hard.
Yeah.
But I just got the day done, and I just really wanted to kind of get that round over and done with and get out of there, if that made sense.
Oh, totally.
And just, keep healthy and that's what we did. So I was happy.
And it was good in the grand scheme of things, you know, to get through the whole day for everyone. You know, there wasn't any major incidents and stuff. So, it was good, I think, for the sport and for the moto community just to be able to get through another round at Wonthaggi, you know, without any sort of incidents as well.
Yeah, no, that was good. I was glad to see that. And, we got out of there healthy, and it did suck, yes, that we had to be there, but I mean, we did it for Braden, and I know that's what he would have wanted. So,
no,
yeah,
I bet, mate. So as far as the rest of the day goes, like it was a really good crowd there. It was sort of perfect weather. Do you get an idea of that when you're racing? Like, do you get a sense of the crowd when you're out there, or are you so sort of super focused on what you're doing? Because I tell you, the crowd was actually pretty vocal, and there was a lot of cheering going on. Do you get a sense of that when you're out there?
I'll be honest, not really. I did at one point when I went off the rollers and got a bit loose I nearly hit the fence.
Yep.
And that's when I noticed because I could hear them all yelling because I nearly hit them. But other than that, not really. I think also, like, I've always been, like, up the front, well, the last 2 years anyway, with the Moto 1 team. So you see a lot of people and, like, how many people are really there.
Yes.
But it was actually, like, my first time being down in the pits and not up the front where everyone is.
Yeah, so
you kind of don't. Yeah, you just don't really notice how many people are there.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I thought like the pit area this year too was pretty chockers. Like they've got a lot more satellite teams. There seem to be, I guess, less privateers and more bigger rigs for the satellite teams. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I reckon this would be like the most trucks I've seen. Yep. I reckon. Like of just little teams and like you said, all the satellite teams, and there's a fair few trucks now.
Yeah,
like that roll in.
Definitely, like some massive setups and big tent setups. Like I've spoken about it on the podcast. I think on the last podcast, the in between the races one we did. But there's teams like Rising Motorsports and Elliott Bros, like they've got pretty big setups now, and all the way down. You know, there's definitely a lot more big tents set up that look like the factory teams.
Yeah. The Elliott Bros truck is actually pretty big.
Yep.
I never really realised till I went and had a look at it, but it's pretty large.
Yeah, I think they're all trying to step it up, and they're doing that on the track as well. We sort of spoke about it just off air before we started recording, but this year I would say it's probably the the most stacked our MX1 class, which is the class that you race, obviously, has been. Would you agree with that? And like, what's that like? I think we sort of said there's, I think, 9 former 250 or 450 champions in the MX1 class. Does that make it hard when you're racing, like, to be up in that top 20?
Yeah, it's pretty hard. I won't admit that. I will admit there's actually like a heap of fast dudes, and at Wonthaggi I got 19th in qualifying, and from me to 14th, I think it was, we were all in the same second.
Oh wow, yeah.
And it's like, wow, like I've never had that before and been that close in the mix kind of thing.
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, that kind of really like made me go, oh well, like we are all real close and it's hard. You got to be really like on your game to be up there, if that makes sense. Like if you're having a bad day, you're gonna notice.
Oh, definitely. You'll see. Definitely. I mean, I'm just looking at the rider list now, and you know, that guy, all the guys in the, I guess the 11th to 20th, and even past, 20th. There is some fast riders in that group. You know, guys like Joel Evans and Bryce Ognenis and Seager Ward and Luke Zielinski. You know, they're all in that. Dylan Wood, Latimer, like Ricky Latimer, they're all in that mix. There's some fast riders in that bunch.
Yeah, that Bryce has been ripping.
Yeah.
They've all been actually riding really good. So,
yeah. All right, moving on to Albury. Like, I think you couldn't get a much different track to Wonthaggi. What was it like coming down again to Victoria for round 2?
It was good. It was I've only ever ridden Horsham for the Aussies back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
So I hadn't ridden it since then. And the track was the exact same. So I was pretty stoked. Like I kind of knew a little bit and how it was.
Yeah.
And yeah, the track was good. It was just very slick.
Yeah, yep.
And that caught me off guard a lot. Like I didn't realize how slippery it was going to be.
Yep. So why do you think it ended up forming up that way?
I think maybe it wasn't ripped deep enough, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe it was. But like in practice, it was already so slick. And like we said before, looking like when we were just standing off the side of the track, it looked fine. But as soon as you get on the track, it was so slippery. And yeah, that was actually, I found that really tough. So my qualifying was not very good at all.
No, I tend to agree with you. I think the way that they prepped it, like it looked good in the morning. It looked good in the afternoon, the day before. But there was talk already on the Saturday afternoon that it wasn't ripped super deep. I think they only ripped it sort of 30, 40 centimetres at most. And then when it shaped up, like you said, at the end of practice, you could already see the blue groove lines, which it's kind of different to your traditional blue groove because there was still moisture in it. But there was like rock hard shiny patches starting to come up. What sort of tyre choice did you make, given the conditions there? Obviously, you had some loose stuff. I wouldn't call it loam, but it was definitely sort of fluffed up. But then with that hard, slippery base, like how do you pick your tyres for that sort of condition?
Well, I always just run medium soft, I think it is.
Yep.
So I just had them because that's all I really had. I had a medium hard on my spare wheel, but the tyre wasn't very good. So I just ran with what I had, and it was actually fine.
Yep.
It didn't really matter. And like I said earlier in the podcast, I honestly don't really notice much. So I kind of, it was, for me, it was good. So I didn't notice it too much. But I know some people like different types, and at the end of the day, it was still really blue groove, but not so slippery in spots like it was in the morning, if that makes sense. Like It was a different type of slippery. Like there's like a wet slippery than a non-wet slippery. I don't know if that makes sense with what I'm trying to say. But
I bet you all the riders that were out there will definitely be able to relate.
Yeah. Like it was slippery, but it was dry.
Yep.
And so it was a little bit different, which is what I kind of tend to like more than the like wet slippery. I struggle with that a lot more. But yeah.
So tell me about your motos then. How'd you go in the motos?
The first one, it was tough. I've been really struggling with arm pumps. So, yeah, that moto I was definitely on the struggle bus from about lap 3 onwards, I think.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I scored 1 point. Yeah, it definitely wasn't the greatest moto. But the second moto was actually a lot better. I felt really good on the track, and I pushed the whole moto. I actually come in and I was buggered. So yeah, I was definitely happy with my second moto for sure.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. A lot of the riders that I spoke to after at the end of the day at Horsham were talking about arm pump and that they don't normally get it, but they were getting it there. So that's interesting that you suffered it as well.
Yeah, I think maybe it was the real sharp bump.
Yep.
In spots.
Yep. Was it square edgy to ride?
No, I wouldn't really say there was a heap of bad edges. It was more just slippery, and there was holes, but I didn't find it super edgy. Well, that was me anyway.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
No, nice. You had some awesome battles with a couple of the other Mental for Moto guys in Braden Krebs and Navran Grothus. I think that was in Moto 2, if I'm remembering
I
correctly.
think Moto 1 was me and Navran.
Yep.
Yeah, and me and Krebs in Moto 1 too. I think me and Krebs in both motos found each other actually.
Yeah, yep.
But yeah, we did have a few battles, especially that first moto. We passed each other back and forth a couple times actually.
Yeah, yeah. I interviewed him at the end of the day, and he said he could hear you yelling in your in your helmet. What was that about?
I get a bit into it sometimes. I feel really bad. I don't necessarily yell at the people. I don't know. I just get really fired up. If that makes sense.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier in the podcast. I even said to him, I'm like, I can't imagine it chatting with you. And he was laughing. He thought it was hilarious.
Yeah, I feel really bad. I need to go. I always try and go up and say sorry to everyone that I do it to.
Yeah.
But I kind of forget sometimes who I do it to because I do it regularly. But this year I've really tried to be better at it, and I feel like I've been pretty good at it. Yeah. This year, but yeah, I am very renowned for doing that.
Well, I can tell you, as a race tactic, he said to me, oh, it was definitely throwing me off. He goes, I was just like, man, I just want to ride.
I was honestly, my arms were pumped. I could not even feel my handlebars. I was just barely hanging on, and I was just trying to battle with him because I really wanted that extra position because it's all about the points.
Oh, definitely.
And I'm just trying to get that extra point to finish because I just knew if I could get that extra point, I'll be fine for the next moto.
Yes.
And I didn't end up getting it, but yeah, it is what it is.
No, I'm just looking at the leaderboard, and it's definitely super competitive down in that sort of 15 to 24. I think you're all sort of competing for, those 3, 4, 5 points. Do you find yourself battling with the same guys, or is it different from round to round?
It's different. I was battling with different guys at Wonthaggi, and then I'm battling with different guys at Horsham.
Yeah.
It's always different, yeah.
So you haven't got sort of an arch nemesis that you always find yourself battling with on the track?
No, not really. On the week at Horsham, it was me and Krebs.
Yeah.
But other than that, not really.
Yeah.
It's always a little bit different here and there. You always have the same dudes that you can see and are around you, but yeah, I don't know. It just always depends on the day and everything else.
Yeah, and the track and what you prefer. So out of the first 2 rounds that we've had so far, which track did you prefer the most?
It's tough because Wonthaggi was Wonthaggi. But then Horsham, I was kind of, I don't know, I struggled a little bit in that first one. So I like Horsham's second moto.
Yes, okay, yep.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So looking ahead to Gilman, have you raced out there before?
Yeah, I have. I've done last year there.
Yep. And so what do you think of Gilman? I mean, I hear just about everyone I speak to loves that track and that facility. What is your experience there last year, and are you looking forward to it this year?
Oh, I love Gilman.
Yep.
I reckon it's probably my favourite track we race. Oh, except for Toowoomba.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely Gilman. I love Gilman.
Yeah, how come?
Yeah. I like sand.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, I love to ride sand because we obviously live so close to Coolum. I rode Coolum so much, and I just got used to riding sand all the time. So yeah, I just kind of like it now.
Yeah, and Gilman's got sort of sand with a hard base as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. It has that bit of a base, but I feel like, I don't know, I've only ridden it last year. Last year when I was there, it was like pretty sandy the whole day.
Yep.
And then the last moto, it rained so bad on us, so it was like pretty wet and like sandy.
Yeah.
So
And how'd you go
I
last
run
year?
a paddle there.
Oh, yep. Sorry.
So oh no, sorry. Yeah, I run a paddle there, so it's pretty. Last year was actually all right. It was another one of those bad first moto, good second moto days.
Yeah, yep.
So, but yeah, no, it wasn't too bad of a day last year.
Man, I said earlier that, like, I'm just looking back at last year's results. I said earlier that this year, you know, it's a stacked MX1 class, but last year was pretty stacked as well.
Yeah, it was. Last year was stacked.
Yeah. Yeah. So you
They
scored.
both seemed pretty tough.
Yep. So you scored 2 points there last year. But
Yeah.
You've done better than that already in the first 2 rounds this year. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm not complaining about my first 2 rounds because they've been better than I think every round I did last year.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm definitely not complaining.
Yeah, you said off air that you know, you weren't absolutely stoked with your results, though. Like, is that just in the way that you were riding, or would you just like to see yourself a little bit further up the leaderboard?
Yeah, I just want to fix up those first motos. That's what's been really like wrecking my overalls.
Yeah.
So, and it's just been really frustrating me. But once we get those sorted, yeah, I'll be happy because my second motos at both rounds so far have been really good, and I've actually been really happy with my riding in them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just those first motos that I really need to fix up.
So what is it? Is it the starts, or is it the intensity in the beginning, like just sort of firing straight into, you know, that high level of intensity?
It's the arm pump for me.
Yep.
I have this thing where I get arm pump every single first moto.
Yep.
And I don't really know why or how, but yeah, that's what's been really like. And you can even see in my results from the first 2 rounds, like my second motos are always better.
Yep.
And that's just because I don't have arm pump.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the second motor, you're pushing into that top 15 or close to that top 15. Yeah, both motos this year, so that's pretty good. Like we said, you know, the top 10 they're all former champions, so to be edging into that top 15 and hopefully, you know, by the end of the season, maybe even closer to the top 10, that would be a pretty massive achievement.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd make me very happy for sure. But yeah.
No. Anyway, you're doing really well, and I really appreciate you coming back on to the podcast just to finish this one off. I thought it'd be a nice way to finish off the podcast after having you in studio for the first bit. So, thanks heaps, man.
Thank you for having me. It's been great.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you at Gilman and, seeing how we go there.
Yeah, for sure. I'll see you down there.
Cheers. Thanks, Cody.
Thank you.
And that wraps up another episode of the Mental for Moto podcast. Massive thanks to Cody O'Loan, both for coming in studio before the Wonthaggi ProMX round and calling in again after the Horsham round. Also, a big thanks to our amazing sponsors, Graphics by Aqua, Wolf Building Compliance, Iro, Death Grip, 5 Gloves, Works Racing, Shred Bike Care, and Bolt Premium Racewear. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I've been your host, Pete Wolf. Until next time, see ya.